Was the World Liberty Financial coin launch a big scam, or is it just a shakeout before the real move up? Is Binance suppressing and manipulating XRP? And what's happening to Ethereum now? This is your Altcoin Buzz News. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when we drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, altcoinbuzz.io, and as always, not financial advice, and wish the best of luck in your crypto ventures. Also, make sure to join us for our X Spaces Tuesday to Friday at 10 a.m. EST, link down below. All right, good morning, you guys. Today is the first day back from a bank holiday in terms of markets being open. So yesterday was a holiday, and so anything that usually happens on holidays usually gets reversed. Now, we did have a bit of a pump up yesterday overnight, and I think we are starting to reverse that today. Now, the one thing that is a bit concerning is every time we have a weekly swing failure pattern where we take out stops above a prior weekly candle like this. You can see this happen here back in December. We had a weekly swing above here. We closed back below, and then we corrected by about 30%. Every time we tend to do that, you can see we did this in the tops of last cycle as well. Every time we do that, we close below, we usually have a pretty big correction. And so that is the bigger concerning thing. And we've already kind of started to play that out right now. It doesn't mean it has to fully, play out, but it is still entirely possible that we could come down towards these mid 90s and still be in an uptrend. So even if we are to, categorically just collapse here, go down to the 90s, we could still be in a high time frame uptrend and continue higher. September is historically not a great month. It's one of the worst performing months for, all markets. And so I'm not super, bullish on just the entire month, but I do think overall in the high time frame, we are still going up. And I do think we're going to have a better October and November. That being said, I do think it is a possibility that we could come down here towards these range lows. This was a previous range from 112 to 124,000. We've broken back underneath this range here now. We kind of had an underside retest here, and we might even attempt it again soon. Maybe we come up, take out these stops, and then try again lower. I think it is a possibility we do go down towards $100,000, but that's not the end of the world. I think that is going to be a buying opportunity for different Bitcoin and different altcoins in the coming months. So I do think this month will probably have, maybe more sell-offs going into FOMC or, CPI data coming out. Something like that. I think maybe there'll be sell-offs and that'll kind of mark the bottom. And then I think once we have that bottom marked, maybe in a week or two here in September, I do think we'll then rally again. And I think we'll start to get rate cuts. And I think things will be better in the next coming months. But I do think this is going to be a month for buying opportunities. And so, we're going to just go over a couple different altcoins today that are starting to look pretty good. But starting off actually with the one that's not looking good, we have Eric Trump saying, "We are now live. Our team has always believed in American strength and leadership. With today's World Liberty Financial token launch, we're setting a new standard for financial freedom built on trust, speed, and U.S. values. This is a huge moment for the future of money." And so if you haven't been following, the coin basically dumped to like 30% yesterday. A lot of people were upset. Basically, Lucas here says, "World Liberty Financial alert. Early reports of strange moves and insiders dumping millions on retail investors, leaving them with another worthless Trump family token. Stay safe and avoid being their exit liquidity." We have a couple different takes on this. We have Bubble Map saying, "This is wild. Justin Sun is up 10x from the World Liberty Financial pre-sale. He invested $30 million at 1.5 billion valuation and $45 million at 5 billion valuation. At current prices, this is worth $750 million. And we also have Quinton saying, "World Liberty Financial proposes using 100% of the protocol-owned liquidity fees for World Liberty Financial buybacks and permanently burning it to reduce the circulating token supply. Supply shrinks, long-term holders get stronger, more usage equals more fees, and more tokens burned." And then Virtual Bacon goes on to say, "One of the biggest token launches of the cycle just went live. Here's my full breakdown on supply, price targets, FUD, ecosystem, and my personal trading plan. Now Trump's official crypto token, World Liberty Financial, is now live. I've been waiting months for this launch, buying since pre-market, and I'm still targeting $1. I've covered the token for 3 months. Pre-market was risky, no guarantees, no launch date, no TC access wasn't possible. Now it's live, de-risked, and trading around 25 cents. I've been stacking all week and my conviction hasn't changed. $1 target." Now let's talk about the supply. The circulating supply is 24.6 billion tokens, or 24.6%, but actively tradable float is closer to 6.9%. 20% unlocked for public sale investors, 2.8% for liquidity and exchanges, and the ecosystem plus treasury wallets fully visible on-chain. The team and investor tokens still locked. Some wanted a tiny float, $3 to $5 billion tokens to pump harder, but that's exactly how ICP got wrecked. A sky-high fully diluted value, tiny float, and brutal crash once the unlocks hit. World Liberty Financial's model is healthier, fair liquidity across exchanges, gradual unlocks, on-chain transparency, and reduces the risk of a fake pump and death spiral. So why is my price target $1? That equals 100 billion fully diluted value, 24.6 billion market cap at current circulation, and rank 11 in the top coins, right beside Link and Ada. And of course, the comparison everyone's making is to the Trump meme coin. World Liberty Financial will end up just like the Trump token, but here's the truth. Yes, I expect the token to dump 80+% eventually, like every other altcoin after the cycle, but Trump didn't launch and go straight down. It did a 30x in 3 days and then retrace. More importantly, Trump was a meme coin, and World Liberty Financial has integrations, US treasuries, and institutional backing. Catalysts still ahead and ones to look out for are the World Liberty Financial retail app, the wallet and payments, and lending and borrowing platform. Now, my position is 7 figures of World Liberty Financial from pre-market, buys from 40 cents down to 23 cents, and still adding here. The downside, a 50% drawdown towards 20 to about 12.5 cents. The upside 4x to $1. I'm fully transparent. My bags are packed. It's hard to say exactly what's going to happen, especially with so many insiders being in this. But I also don't think at the same time they're going to let this just completely fizzle out and die, especially with Nasdaq listed company putting $1.5 billion into this at around 20 cents, which is just this line here. So someone put $1.5 billion in at this line, a Nasdaq public company. I don't know if they're going to just let this fizzle out and completely die. And so while it has had a rough launch where it's like buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing, I don't think it's going to fully die out. And so I think what's going to happen is I think there will be a big short squeeze at some point. A lot of people who are unexpected. And when it happens, it's probably going to happen very fast because they don't want to let people back in. So I think at some point, I'm not saying it's right now, but I think at some point, this will probably squeeze higher towards at least 50 cents. Hard to say if it's going to go to $1 if people are, insiders have already have sold their entire bag if they're waiting for it to go higher. But this is one that I'm not personally touching, just watching and waiting to see. But there's so many kind of unknown factors. If people want to, sell their bags early, if Justin Sun wants to decide to dump all of his tokens, or if he wants to wait for a bit higher. But I don't think, like, even if it does go down here towards 20 cents and maybe towards 12 to 15 cents, I don't think it's going to completely die out just yet because there's so many people who are vested in this. And it's not just a meme coin. Like, it's not, they actually planning to do stuff with it. So I don't think it's the end of it, but I think there will probably be a short squeeze at some point, which will be very hard and it'll pump pretty, it'll go like 30% in a day. And then it'll get people offside and all shorts will be taken out and will probably go higher. So that's what I'm thinking for this one, but there's no actionable plan on this right yet because we are kind of testing this underside and rejecting here. So it's possibly go consolidate down here towards 20 cents, maybe do something like this where we just kind of chop for a while in September. People get, complacent, they forget about this. And then at some point it just does like a 30% candle in one day once we take off again. Something like that is entirely possible. But again, nothing I'm really touching right now because it's very volatile. So bridge exploits are costing us billions of dollars each year. And with bridges, you face high fees, long wait times, and security issues. However, what if I told you that there was a better way to perform cross-chain swaps? Portal to Bitcoin has a solution to slow, expensive, and risky bridges. It offers fast and low-cost atomic swaps. This is a non-custodial service without middlemen. You can swap native Bitcoin assets on Layer 1 and Layer 2 networks, eliminating the need for bridges, wrapping, or using a centralized exchange. And you can now trade Bitcoin, ordinals, and runes across different blockchains. Solana is coming soon, allowing you to swap your Solana for native Bitcoin and vice versa. All this is possible with one single Chrome add-on, the Portal Wallet extension. Just connect your wallet and start swapping instantly. And also the TGE for Portal's native PTB token is coming this week. So keep an eye out as your favorite exchange could be listing it, along with listings on Binance, BitGet, Kraken, KuCoin, Gate.io, and more. So check out Portal to Bitcoin and PTB today with the link down below. Then we have sentiment saying, here's crypto's top 10 DeFi projects by development. Directional indicators represent each month's ranking position since last month. And so Chainlink is continuing to be the top #1 coin. And also Charles Hoskinson says Cardano is trying to integrate Chainlink into the ecosystem, but was given an absurd price for integration. So he said this.
And they gave us an absurd number for integration. We'll haggle it. We'll figure it out. They're good negotiators. Sergey is an extremely smart man, and he's a very good businessman, and he kind of sees the future, and he knows he's sitting on a golden egg, and he knows what he's worth. And I like people like that. There's honesty in those conversations.
Now, Zach Rhines says most people's mental model of Chainlink is completely wrong. They think of oracles as being like sidecars attached to the side of a blockchain, simply injecting price data. Hence, in their mind, Chainlink is just an oracle. Who cares? A more complete mental model is that Chainlink is the global orchestration layer that sits above and across all blockchains and external systems. a unifying and modular platform that enables organizations to create advanced business workflows that span any number of blockchains, existing legacy systems, and Oracle services, all powered by a decentralized runtime environment that provides an infinite amount of configurability. This is how institutions adopt blockchains, not by betting on specific chains, but integrating with a global platform that provides them access to any public or private chain. For Chainlink, every new blockchain introduced to the market is all more justification for why organizations need Chainlink as their orchestration layer to manage the complexity. That's why financial market infrastructure like Swift, DTCC, Euroclear, and more have adopted Chainlink. They understand the financial system needs an orchestration layer. Today, developers build on blockchains and plug into Chainlink. In the future, developers will build on Chainlink and plug into blockchains. That's why Chainlink is the most indispensable protocol in crypto. And so he's got some pretty good points there. Then we also at the same time have TapTool saying Cardano ADA has surpassed $5.3 billion in on-chain volume in the last 7 days. And LA Chart says 30 million Cardano was sold by whales in the past week. So there's a lot of selling going on in September, a lot of selling going on across all protocols right now. And so for Chainlink, we are still continuing down. This is what I thought would probably happen. We'd probably come back down towards this level, this next major level of support around $21.50. Somewhere around here, I could expect a bounce, something like this. If we were to just kind of consolidate around here, maybe take out these lows and then continue higher. That's what I'm expecting for Chainlink. I think it might be just a choppy kind of downwards chop September. But I do think this is probably the area to be accumulating for the next run up, because this is where you want to accumulate, not when it's going straight up vertical like this. You're better off accumulating at these levels and waiting for it to continue back higher in the next coming weeks and months. So I think that's probably going to happen to Chainlink. I wouldn't be buying this right now. We are still in a downtrend. And usually what you want to see is when you want to buy a coin, it's not when it's going straight up like this. It's also not when it's going down like this. You want to buy it when it's going sideways like this. And it's about to break out, especially if you buy that little, retest right before it continues. You want it to at least go sideways and stop just going straight down. So that's what we're looking for Chainlink. And as for Cardano, it's pretty much in the same camp as Chainlink right now. It's at this, it's coming down to this next level of support right down here. So this is one that I'd probably be watching somewhere around 76-ish cents. I'd wait for this level to hold. If it doesn't hold and it doesn't go sideways, like I want it to go like this and then go sideways here. But if it continues down and takes out these stops, then it's kind of broken high time frame market structure because it's broken down below here. And that's a whole other issue where it's probably then heading back down lower here. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Cardano is probably going to do decently. And so I want to see it I want to actually wait and see what happens and wait for it to come down and hold around 75 cents because we don't want it to break market structure here. So that's what we're looking for right now. And then we have Pumpies saying Binance is dumping XRP, massive sell pressure, sudden liquidity drains, chart spiking red. But there's a part that peasants don't get. Binance isn't just dumping crypto, they're deliberately manipulating XRP's price. This is a coordinated war. So he says Binance's business model is simple, front-run retail. They wash trade volume, manipulate funding rates, and dump bags onto users. But why target XRP? Because XRP is one of the assets that threatens the casino itself. XRP isn't a speculative meme, it's infrastructure, it's rails, it's a replacement for liquidity pools Binance has been skimming for a decade. Binance knows if XRP wins, their market-making empire collapses. Look closely whenever positive Ripple news drops, corridors opening, partnerships revealed, lawsuits closing, and Binance coincidentally floods the books with selling pressure. They suppress XRP's breakout to keep the illusion alive. XRP is just another altcoin. But the irony, every time Binance dumps, XRP decentralizes further. Tokens leave exchanges, flow into self-custody, and prep for the day when real utility flips the switch. When the day comes, Binance's paper games look like dust against $1 trillion sentiment flows. Binance thinks they're winning by suppressing price. In reality, they're exposing the truth. XRP isn't a trader's coin, it's the backbone of a new financial order, and no amount of dumping can stop the rails that are already live. So this guy deeply believes that Binance is suppressing price, and maybe they are, but I also don't know if it's just XRP. I think they kind of do this to every coin. And so I wouldn't be surprised, like Chainlink, if we come down here towards 260, this level of support, and then consolidate somewhere around here. Something just like Chainlink where we consolidate, maybe take out the stops before we go higher. I would be looking for that. It is possible we come a little bit lower, but as long as we don't break down below this level here, if we don't break down below 190, we are still in a nice uptrend. So this isn't the end of the world for me. I would like to see it consolidate and go sideways here before we then continue back upwards, but I don't think it's the end of this. And it's very hard to say, 100% for sure. Is Binance suppressing this? Don't know for sure. I mean, on chain, it looks like, every time they do sell a bunch of money, they send it to Wintermute, they dump price, and they really just, get retail out of the coins. It is a possibility, but I think overall, this is all still going back up. And I think we are going higher towards $4 on XRP in the coming months. And then we have Ally Chart saying 260,000 Ethereum was bought by whales in the last 24 hours. And also, only 3 days ago, Binance was dumping millions of ETH. They're doing it to ETHC. But right now, they're buying as much ETH as possible. Total manipulation from Binance. We also have a whale sold $435 million worth of Bitcoin. And they bought $433 million worth of Ethereum. A whale keeps selling their Bitcoin for Ethereum. What do they know that we don't? Also, Arkham says this $5 billion whale just bought 1.1 billion USD of ETH. This whale holding 5 billion of Bitcoin and just bought 1.8 billion of ETH through Hyperunit and now has it all staked, including last week's purchases. This whale's now bought and staked 3.5 billion of ETH total. And lastly for ETH, we have Tommy Lee saying crypto chasing speed with Solana and Sui, but Wall Street values Ethereum's uptime. Ethereum has been flat for 5 years, but just above 4,800, a massive cycle would ignite.
The community kind of abandoned Ethereum in their minds because they thought faster was better, which was why Solana and Sui, and especially when you had the meme coins, those looked like the place where the economics were the best. But if Wall Street is the reason we're going to see the next wave, Wall Street wants 100% uptime. They don't care about speed because they can build on the layer twos. And they actually find staking actually a virtue because that means the power law comes into effect. You know, if Goldman stakes enough ETH, they have a positive voice on Ethereum itself and how they upgrade. So I think that, and like I was just at Salt, Wyoming last week, and I talked to a lot of the OGs I know, and I'm like, ETH's been kind of dead and price for 5 years, and it has been. And I said, is ETH actually inferior technologically, or do you think it's just the price action stunk and that's why you don't care about it? And almost all of them said it's because the price hasn't done well, especially compared to Bitcoin, that they don't care about it. So I think that's why this year and what's happening recently is actually an important moment for ETH because it is galvanizing the community again. And of course, if we can stay above the new highs, which is above 4,800, as you know, that means we could have a really big cycle for ETH.
And then lastly for today, we have Dash Team ignites with NYM for private NymVPN payments. Now Dash, one of the earliest privacy-focused digital currencies, is now integrated as a payment method for NymVPN, the next generation VPN endorsed by Edward Snowden. This collaboration allows users to pay for advanced internet privacy with a currency that offers its own privacy protections, marking a return to Dash's privacy roots. Through the integration, NymVPN users can subscribe using Dash, benefiting from fast, low-cost, and censorship-resistant payments. NymVPN offers two modes, a fast 2-hop WireGuard-based VPN for everyday browsing and streaming, and an anonymous 5-hop mixed-net mode that shields users from metadata analysis and AI-driven surveillance. This combination of payment and network privacy addresses a key challenge in online security, paying for services without leaving a traceable financial record. Dash was launched in 2014 as a dark coin and introduced protocol-level privacy features that remain optional for users today. Its network supports near-instant transactions with low fees, making it ideal for everyday use while retaining strong privacy features. And Harry Halpin, CEO of NYM, highlighted how the partnership advances their mission, saying with Dash payments that offer privacy beyond most cryptocurrencies, our users can access NymVPN's metadata-resistant mixnet, further shielding their transactions from mass surveillance. So that is a Dash and a NymVPN, and that's the video for today, guys. I think we're probably going to continue a little bit. I mean, we're already kind of doing it right now. I think we're probably going to continue a little bit lower. I wouldn't be surprised if we come down here towards $100,000, but it's also not the end of the world. We are still in a high time frame uptrend, and I do think if we come down here, this is going to be the opportunity to buy different altcoins that you want to stack up on, and maybe you weren't able to get as we were coming up into this, huge run up over the past month or two. So I think 100K is still a possibility. Even if we were to go down to the mid 90s, that is still a high time frame uptrend, and so it's not the end of the world. I do think we are going higher still this cycle, and so I think it's just got to be patient and have a kind of slow accumulation September, I think. So that's the video for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow.